The AH-64D Apache is the Army's primary state-of-the-art attack helicopter. A quick-reacting airborne weapons system, it can fight close and deep to destroy, disrupt, or delay enemy forces. The Apache has been designed to fight and survive during the day, night, and in adverse weather throughout the world. It is used in close combat armed aerial reconnaissance, escort, surveillance, and target acquisition. The principal intended mission of the Apache is the destruction of high-value targets with a Hellfire missile, primarily hostile armor. It is also capable of employing a 30mm chain gun and the Hydra 70 2.75-inch family of rockets that are lethal against a wide variety of targets. The AH-64D, known as the Apache Longbow, is a twin-engine helicopter with a 4-blade main rotor, 4-blade tail rotor, and a tail wheel-type landing gear arrangement. Total fuel capacity for the AH-64D is 375 gallons. The forward fuel cell is located under the aft crew station in the center fuselage and holds 155 gallons of JP-8. The aft fuel cell is located in the lower part of the center fuselage between the engines and holds 220 gallons. If installed, the auxiliary tank holds an additional 100 gallons and is located in the center fuselage between the stub wings. All fuel tanks are self-sealing. The Apache carries rockets, missiles, and a 30mm gun mounted under the nose between the two pilot seats. During emergency rescue, the weapon systems must be safe. To prevent accidental firing of the Hellfire launchers, turn the arm safe switch on the front of the launcher from armed to safe. Insert a weapon ejector rack safety pin in the safety hole to prevent inadvertent weapons rack jettison. This 30mm gun can cause injury even when it's not loaded with ammunition. During normal operations, the gun will rotate 86 degrees left or right, 11 degrees up, and 60 degrees down. When hydraulic pressure is lost, the gun will automatically return to 11 degrees up. When the gun is activated, it can move with the pilot's head. Remember, when removing the pilot, leave the helmet on if possible. Another area to avoid is the laser guidance system, which is mounted in the targeting sensor on the nose of the aircraft. When activated, the sensor can rotate plus or minus 100 degrees off the nose and up to 180 degrees to the left when stowing, exposing a flat glass window. Warning: do not look directly into the sight system. The Army designates this aircraft as a dual-pilot aircraft. The crew sits in tandem in an armored compartment, with the pilot located in the rear crew station position and the co-pilot gunner located in the front crew station position. A ballistic shield separates the two pilots. Some common controls in the crew stations are the collective, the cyclic, and the tail rotor pedals. The Auxiliary Power Unit, or APU, is a small turbine engine that provides electrical and hydraulic power for ground operations. The onboard APU is located in the center fuselage section just inboard of the right side engine nacelle. The APU off-on button is located in only the pilot's crew station on the top left side, near the engine power control levers. To gain entrance to the crew station areas, both the pilot's and co-pilot gunner's canopies open only on the right side of the aircraft. Warning: in case of fire, the safest approach to the AH-64 helicopter, which may be armed, would be toward its right side. That completes the orientation of the Apache. Now the emergency rescue procedures for the AH-64D. When an aircraft mishap occurs, all emergency rescue personnel must be prepared to safely handle the call. These personnel include firefighters, emergency medical technicians, and local law enforcement officers. They must know the proper safety precautions and personal protective measures to successfully rescue the crew, protect the surrounding community, and safeguard our environment. Advanced knowledge of the constantly changing aircraft systems and controls is essential and requires intense ongoing training. No two accidents are ever the same. Weather, location, and aircraft conditions will vary, requiring a quick assessment at the site. For instance, the senior fire officer for this drill decided that 50 feet was sufficient distance from the aircraft to set up a staging area for the wounded. His assessment took into account not only for the calm winds, but also the readily accessible roads and landing area for air evacuation. If the engines of an AH-64 are still running when you, the emergency responder, arrive, you must use extreme caution. The main rotor blades can dip as low as 4 feet above ground in gusty winds or on sloping terrain. In addition, always avoid the tail rotor area. The tail rotor blades are close to the ground and nearly invisible when running. They become increasingly visible only as the engine is shutting down. When the emergency responder feels there is sufficient ground clearance to approach the aircraft safely, he will proceed to the crew station door. He should approach the aircraft from the right side and always keep the pilots in view. If the pilot is conscious, try to get a hand signal prior to approaching a running aircraft. Warning: never approach an AH-64 Delta from the front or rear. Normal access to the crew is through the 2 crew station doors. This is a 2-lock operation. If the handle returns to the lock position too soon, the door will lock in the lower open setting. If the handle is moved to lock when the door is open approximately 8 to 10 inches, the door will then lock full open when pushed up. If you're unable to gain normal access to the crew stations, the canopy can be jettisoned. Both rear and front crew stations have canopy jettison handles located on the upper left side of the instrument panel. An external jettison handle is also located on top of the nose directly in front of the gunner's windshield. To open the compartment, depress the quick release push button latch and rotate the handle counterclockwise 90 degrees. Release, and then forcefully push the handle all the way in to jettison the canopies. Caution: depressing the canopy jettison handle while turning it may cause it to jam. Always turn, release, push. The AH-64 is equipped with explosive charges in the canopy for emergency exiting. It can be hazardous for ground crew if they are in the canopy fragment area when the systems are activated, using either the internal or external canopy jettison handles. Note: the canopy jettison system does not require electrical power to operate. The canopy jettison must be a controlled procedure. Only the pilot's and co-pilot's left and right canopies will jettison. The front and 2 overhead sections will not jettison. Warning: acrylic glass fragments can be thrown more than 50 feet. All personnel must be warned and kept clear. If pilots are conscious, they must lower their visors prior to jettisoning canopy. Now, the emergency procedures for the AH-64. First, in the unlikely event that the aircraft is armed, the weapons systems and the canopy will pose significant danger to rescuers. Weapons must be safed before anyone goes to the crew stations. Note that the first responders avoided getting in front or behind the missiles and rockets by approaching directly from the side. Here, in greater detail, are the actions you should take. To prevent the Hellfire missiles from accidentally firing, first turn the arm safe switch on the front of the missile launcher from arm to safe. Insert a weapons system pylon jettison safety pin into the safety hole near the front of the pod, directly over the missiles or rockets. Although safety pins are stored in the extended forward avionics bay storage bins, rescuers should carry a set in their truck. A safety pin is also inserted into a safety hole over the rockets. There's no way to safe the rocket pod, so be sure to avoid getting in front of or behind it. When all pins are installed, the lead firefighter signals all clear for the rest of the rescuers. Safety pins for the canopy jettison handles are stored beside the pilot's left knee and gunner's right knee. Second, shut off fuel. Engine shutdown controls are similar for both the front and back seats. Shutdown should be accomplished from the rear crew station. The power control levers are linked between crew stations. Therefore, moving the power control lever in either crew station will shut down engines. Grasp the engine power levers on left side of crew station, squeeze up on the locking triggers, and move the levers all the way to the rear. If the APU is running, shut it down by depressing the illuminated APU push button located in the rear compartment on the left side console, just below the power levers. An alternate method of shutting off fuel is pressing the fire detection extinguishing button located in the upper left corner of the forward dash in both crew stations. Pushing the ENG1, APU, or ENG2 push button will shut off fuel to all. This will subsequently shut down the engine and APU. The final step of the shutdown is to disconnect the battery, which is located in a compartment on the right side of the aircraft under the aft part of the engine. The battery has a quick disconnect. Turn the handle counterclockwise to remove. To extricate the pilot, first disconnect the helmet cord by pulling the sections of the connector apart. Then, remove the pilot's eyepiece by pulling it out to the pilot's right while holding the helmet steady. Next, remove the pilot's 5-point seat belt by rotating the knob in either direction. Remove each belt and set them aside and out of the way. The cyclic stick in the front crew station is collapsible. Depress the lever on the left side and the stick will fold down. Ensure the pilot's feet are free from the tail rotor pedal's rough edges or metal that may have been torn during the crash. Once the pilot's feet are clear, he can be removed and taken to the staging area for medical attention. This stage training exercise allows participants a valuable opportunity to enhance their skills. At the same time, supervisors can evaluate their agencies and better determine areas for additional training. Aviation crash rescue is a highly technical profession. The knowledge required to work effectively around aircraft in an emergency situation can be gained only through experience and hands-on training. While this video can never replace hands-on training, it's an excellent orientation for current Army aircraft systems and controls. This concludes the AH-64 Delta crash rescue procedures. Points in review are: the canopy jettison is a manual activation of either crew station handles or the external handle, which will jettison the acrylic panels on both sides of the aircraft. Normal access is from the right side only. Both the pilot's and co-pilot gunner's flight controls cannot be moved without hydraulic pressure. The standard fuel capacity for the AH-64D is 375 to 475 gallons of JP8, depending on the auxiliary fuel cell. The number of personnel on board is 2.